This picture. This is the last one I have of my sister, Layla. It's from 2014, right before her set at that festival in the Cascades. She sent it to me with the caption, "Living the dream, bro." An hour later, she was gone. For 11 years, we had nothing but this photo and the hollow sound of the police saying the case was cold. Until last month, when a Forest Service crew stumbled onto that building and found her microphone inside. If you've ever felt the chilling silence of a question that just never gets answered, you'll understand what those 11 years were like. My name is Julian, and for 4,024 days, I wasn't really a person. I was a waiting room. I was the admin of the Find Layla Vance Facebook group. I was the guy who called the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office every 3 months just to hear them say, "No updates, Mr. Vance." I'm 36 now. I work from home as a web developer. It's a job I took because it let me keep the forums open on one monitor while I typed code on the other. My whole life was structured around an absence. Around this one photo. In it, Layla's 22. She's on the tour bus, her first ever artist pass dangling from her neck. She's holding that mic, a standard Shure SM58, but she'd wrapped the handle in this specific teal-colored gaffer tape. She said it made it hers. She looks nervous, but her eyes are on fire. She was so shy, my sister. Except when she sang. When she sang, she was a giant. She was everything. I was her older brother. I was supposed to protect her. I was supposed to be at that festival. I had a deadline at work, a stupid, pointless deadline. I told her to knock 'em dead and that I'd catch the next show. There was no next show. She did her sound check at 4 p.m. She was due on the small stage at 6 p.m. She never showed up. No one saw her leave. In a crowd of 20,000 people, she just evaporated. The police were useless. They called her a wanderer, said she probably just got cold feet and ran off with some guy. My Layla? She'd worked her entire life for that 6 p.m. slot. She wouldn't be late, let alone gone. We always suspected an obsessed fan. She'd told me weeks before about some creepy letters she was getting. She gave them to festival security, who supposedly gave them to the lead detective, a guy named Keller. He told me they were just fan mail. He said, "You singers, you like the attention until you don't." I've been dreaming of punching that detective for 11 years. I lived in that limbo until last month. April 12th, 2025, a Tuesday. My phone rang. An unknown number from Washington. I let it go to voicemail like I always do, but they called right back. I picked it up. "Mr. Julian Vance?" The voice was a woman's, crisp, professional. "Yes?" "This is Detective Sonia Patel with the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. I'm calling about your sister, Layla Vance." My blood went cold. It's a different kind of cold than you'd think. It's not a rush. It's thick, like syrup in your veins. They never call. I call them. What is it?" "Mr. Vance, a U.S. Forest Service crew. They were clearing trails in a remote part of the Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest. They found a structure, an unmapped cabin. There were items inside. We believe they belonged to your sister." I couldn't speak. I just gripped the phone. "Mr. Vance," she said, her voice softening just a bit. "We found a microphone. I was at the station in an hour. It was 30 miles from my apartment. Detective Patel wasn't like Keller. She was young, sharp, and looked at me with an empathy that didn't feel like pity. We wanted you to see these before we made them public," she said. She led me into a small, sterile room. On a metal table, laid out in evidence bags, was my sister's life. There was a small black moleskin notebook, damp, the edges warped. There was a flannel shirt I'd given her for her birthday. And there was the microphone. I didn't even have to get close. The teal tape, faded and caked with dirt, was still wrapped around the handle. "It's hers," I whispered. My voice didn't sound like mine. "We believe so," Patel said. "The cabin." It was about 30 miles northeast of the festival grounds, deep in the woods, miles from any marked trail. I opened my mouth, but the question wouldn't come out. Patel answered it anyway. "The walls, Mr. Vance, they were padded, with thick, industrial soundproofing foam." A sound left my chest, a low, animal sound. The police theory, the one I'd pushed for 11 years, was true. A stalker, a cage. "The notebook," I said, pointing. "Can I?" Patel nodded, handing me a pair of gloves. I opened it. My sister's loopy, hurried handwriting. It was a lyric book. The first few pages were songs I knew, songs she'd played in her bedroom. I kept turning. Then the songs changed. The handwriting was different, tighter, angrier. The lyrics weren't about love or the mountains. They were about a box, about darkness, about a face she saw once a day. And then I saw the dates. The first new song was dated May 2014, a month after she was taken. I kept turning. Page after page of screams turned into poetry. The last entry was dated October 21st, 2014. 6 months. She was alive for 6 months. The room tilted. I leaned against the table. She was alive. And she was there. For 6 whole months. While I was calling Keller. While I was posting on Facebook. She was in a soundproof box 30 miles away. "The worst part for me," I said to Detective Patel, my voice shaking, "isn't just knowing she's gone. It's the agonizing realization that she was alive for that long, trapped, screaming for help that no one could ever hear." "Mr. Vance," Patel said gently, "we are treating this as a homicide. The original case files were a mess, but they mentioned letters. From a fan. Keller dismissed them." "He did," I said, the old rage coming back, hot and clean. "He said they were harmless." "We can't find them," she said. "The evidence log is incomplete. Did you ever see them?" I looked her right in the eye. "I have copies." I'd kept them in a fireproof safe in my closet. A box labeled Layla Evidence. I hadn't opened it in almost a decade. It hurt too much. That night, I pulled it out. My hands were steady. The grief was gone, replaced by fuel. There were 5 letters. I'd photocopied them at a Kinko's after Keller brushed me off. Reading them again, with the knowledge of the cabin, they weren't fan mail. They were terrifying. "Your voice is a gift from God. It is not meant for the world. It is meant for one pure heart. I see you ordered the veggie burger at the diner. A good choice. You must protect your throat. You must protect the vessel. The tour is a mistake. They will corrupt you. They will stain you. I have built a sanctuary for you. A place where your music can be safe. Where you can be safe." The police. Keller. They'd read this and thought, what? That it was just poetic? Then I saw something I'd forgotten. And detail. The first letter, the one about the veggie burger. It was specific. She had mentioned that. She'd been staying with her bandmate, a bass player named Brianna Shaw. They were sharing a 2-bedroom apartment in Seattle to save money before the tour. I hadn't spoken to Brianna since the memorial service in 2015. She'd been a wreck. She quit music. She moved to Portland. I found her online. She was a landscape architect. I called her business number. A hesitant voice answered. Brianna Shaw Designs. Brianna, it's Julian. Julian Vance. Silence. Just dead air. I could hear her breathing. Julian, she finally said. Her voice was thin. Oh my God. Julian, why? After all this time, why are you calling? I told her everything. The cabin, the microphone, the notebook, the dates. She started to cry, a raw, painful sound. Oh God, Julian. He really did it. He really built it. What do you mean, he? I said, standing up. Who was it, Brianna? The man in her apartment, the one she told the police about. I thought these letters were from a fan, from the P.O. box. No, she almost shouted. No, he was the building's handyman. Arthur something. He lived in the unit next to ours. 3B, the walls were paper thin. He'd knock on the wall whenever she practiced. Just tap, tap, tap. My skin went cold. At first, she thought it was sweet, Brianna rushed on, like he was applauding. She met him in the hall. He said he loved her music. Then, it got weird. He'd comment on things she said inside our apartment. He told her he didn't like her practicing the sad songs. He said she should only sing pure music. That's what the letter said, I choked out. She told the landlord. The landlord said he was harmless. She told him, Arthur, that she was leaving for tour. He got quiet, a scary quiet. He told her she was making a terrible mistake, that she was abandoning her gift. The next day, the letters started. Not in the mail, slipped under our apartment door. That's when we went to the police. And they told her to get a restraining order if he did something. And then we left for the festival. Brianna, I said, my voice shaking with a rage I'd never felt. What was his last name? Think. I don't know. It was Cunningham? Yes, that's it. Arthur Cunningham. Oh God, Julian, he was this quiet, skinny guy. He wouldn't hurt a fly. He built a soundproof box, Brianna. I hung up and called Patel immediately. Detective? I have a name. Arthur Cunningham. He was the handyman at my sister's apartment building in 2014. I heard her typing. Arthur Gerald Cunningham, born 1975. She went quiet. Detective, what is it? He has priors, Julian, from the 90s. Unlawful imprisonment, stalking. He served 3 years. He's been clean, on paper, for 20 years. Where is he? His last known address was that apartment. He was fired in late 2014, right after Layla disappeared, for erratic behavior. Julian, he owns property, a 10-acre undeveloped plot. He bought it in 2012. My heart stopped. Where? It's in the Matt Baker Snoqualmie National Forest, registered to an LLC. The plot coordinates. They're a match for the cabin. He's there? You found him? Julian. The cabin was listed as derelict. The crew found rotten food, blankets, but it was old. Years old. The place looked like it had been abandoned for a decade. But There was a fresh footprint in the mud near the door. The Forest Service crew reported it. That's why we went in. He might be back. You're going? I'm getting a warrant for the property right now. We're rolling in force. Do not go anywhere near there, Julian. Do you hear me? This man is dangerous. I heard her, but I didn't listen. I hung up, grabbed my keys, and got in my car. I'm not an action hero. I'm a web developer with a bad back. But I didn't even feel the drive. I just went. I knew the general area from the news reports. I parked my car on a logging road half a mile away and just walked. The police tape from the Forest Service was still up, marking a crude trail. I walked for what felt like an hour. The trees were so thick, the air so cold. And then I saw it. The cabin. Just like the picture. A gray, rotting shack in the middle of a dark, damp clearing. But Patel was wrong. It wasn't abandoned. There was a thin, gray wisp of smoke coming from a rusted tin chimney pipe. He was in there. My blood was roaring in my ears. I didn't have a plan. I needed to see the man who stole my sister's voice. I crept up to the side, to the one window that wasn't boarded over. The glass was filthy. I looked inside. He was there. He wasn't a monster. He was just a man. Old, thinner than I imagined, with a gray, patchy beard. He was sitting on a wooden stool at that small, crude table. He was wearing a filthy parka. And he was humming. He was humming one of Layla's songs, one of the new ones, from the notebook. The sound of it. It broke something inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't think. I just stepped back, lifted my leg, and kicked the door with all my strength. The rotten wood of the frame splintered, and the door flew open, slamming against the inside wall. The man, Arthur, screamed. A high, thin sound. He scrambled backward, falling off the stool, crab-walking into the corner. "Who are you? Get out! Get out of my house!" he shrieked. I stepped inside. The smell, rot and body odor and something sweet, like cheap air freshener. The soundproofing on the walls was stapled up in patches. It made the room feel dead, smaller. "Where is she?" I roared. My voice sounded huge in the tiny dead space. "Who? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Get out." "Layla!" I was across the room in 2 steps. I grabbed the front of his parka, hauling him to his feet. He weighed nothing. "Where is my sister?" He stared at me. His eyes were wide, terrified. And then they changed. They went soft, almost dreamy. "Layla," he whispered. He smiled, a slow, awful smile. My songbird. She left. She went away. What did you do to her? I shook him, his head snapping back. You took her from the festival. I saved her, he hissed, sudden anger in his voice. She was too good for them. All those drunks, leering at her. They didn't deserve her. Her voice it was an angel's. It was mine. You locked her in this box. I kept her safe, he cried. I brought her food. Good food. I brought her paper so she could write her songs. For me. She was happy here. She sang for me every day. She sang. My stomach twisted. The notebook, I said, my voice dead. It stops. In October. What happened in October 2014, Arthur? His face crumpled. He started to sob. Pathetic, wet, whining sobs. She changed. She got angry. She said I was a A monster. She hit me." He pointed. Lying on the table next to a can of beans was the microphone. My sister's microphone. "She hit me," he whimpered, "with the microphone. And she ran." The world stopped. She ran? A new, terrifying hope bloomed in my chest. She got away? Where did she go? "She ran," he wailed. "Into the woods. It was dark. It was raining. I called for her. I told her to come back. I told her it wasn't safe. But she was gone. She left me. After everything I did for her. She left me." He kept sobbing. "I've been waiting. I waited 11 years. I knew she'd come back to her sanctuary. She had to. She'll sing for me again." I let go of him. He slid down the soundproofed wall, a pile of rags. She ran. She didn't die in here. She ran. Just then, the sound of static. Voices, flashing lights, blue and red slashed through the trees. "Sheriff's Department! Hands up! Get down!" Detective Patel burst in, gun drawn, 2 deputies behind her. They saw Arthur, crumpled on the floor. They saw me, standing, shaking. "Julian, get back!" Patel yelled. They cuffed Arthur. He just kept muttering, "She'll be back. My songbird, she'll be back." I just walked past them, out of the cabin. I stumbled into the clearing and fell to my knees, breathing in the cold, clean air of the forest. Patel came out a minute later, leaving the deputies with Arthur. She stood over me. "Julian, what happened? What did he say?" "He said she ran," I whispered, looking up at her. "He said she hit him, and she ran. In October 2014. She got away. She could be alive." Patel's face. It was grim. She didn't look happy. She looked pained. "Julian," she said, crouching down in front of me. "The Forest Service crew, the ones who found the cabin, they were in this area for a reason. They were mapping a ravine, about 2 miles north of here. It's treacherous terrain, a series of small, steep cliffs." What are you saying?" "This whole area was searched," she said gently. "But only from the air. The foliage is too dense. But the crew, they found remains, last week, at the bottom of the ravine. That's what triggered the ground search that found this cabin." "Remains?" "We couldn't get an ID, not at first. There wasn't much left. The animal activity." "No," I said. "No, he said she ran. She made it." "Julian, we believe she did run, but we think she fell. We think she was running in the dark, in the rain, and she didn't see the drop." She held up another evidence bag, a small one. "We found this," she said, "tangled in a root system, about 10 feet from the site." Inside the bag was a single, muddy, faded strip of teal-colored gaffer tape. He was wrong. She hadn't hit him with the microphone. She'd grabbed it. It was the only thing in that room that was hers. And she ran with it. She held on to it until she fell. The DNA results came back 2 days later. It was Layla. Arthur Cunningham was charged with kidnapping and murder. His trial was fast. His confession, his history, the cabin. He was found guilty. He'll die in prison. But for me, the story, It's not the one I'd been telling myself for 11 years. My sister wasn't just a victim who vanished. She was a fighter. She was stolen, yes, and she was trapped in a soundproof hell for 6 months. But she didn't just waste away. She survived. She wrote. She planned. And when she finally saw her one single chance, she took it. She fought back, and she ran. She died free in the cold, open air. She died trying. I don't look at that picture of her on the bus and just feel guilt anymore. I still feel loss. I think I'll feel that forever. But now, when I look at her eyes, I feel pride. She was terrified, but she was brave. She was my sister. It's a strange, cold comfort, but it's the only one I have. He didn't win. He stole her life, but he never, ever broke her spirit. Is it wrong that I find more peace in her running and fighting, even knowing it led to her death, than I would have if she'd just given up in that box? Subscribe if you believe every truth, no matter how painful, eventually surfaces.